Located at 44 Glenada Avenue, Carmel, New York at 6:30 p.m. The Part 3 and 5 modifications eliminate the deadhead miles on 2 routes but have no impact on public service. Therefore, there is no impact on the current paratransit 3/4-mile buffer zones. The plans will be available on the Putnam County Government website and are available to the public at the Putnam County Department of Planning, Development, and Public Transportation at 841 Fair Street, Carmel, New York, and at the Putnam County Office Building, Legislative Office at 40 Glenada Avenue, Carmel, New York, 10512. Written comments may be sent to the Transportation Manager, Vincent M. Tamania, at the Putnam County Planning, Development, and Public Transportation Department at 841 Fair Street, Carmel, New York, 10512, by order of the Putnam County Legislature.
Thank you, Diane. Okay. Do I go right to public comment, or Vinny, you ready for a presentation, right?
I can give you a quick, if you would like. I mean, however you want to handle it.
I wouldn't want to disappoint you. You're all set up.
Mr. Chairman, yeah, I think it's important, if I could, through the chair to Mr. Tamania. My biggest concern are these deadhead miles. Could you explain exactly where they are and what part of the routes?
Sure. A deadhead mile definition is really the miles that we travel without any reimbursement. So it's getting to the terminus. So we had for 30 years our park system, our public transportation system, all originate at the Hannaford Plaza, at Hannaford Shopping Center, Putnam Plaza. So the 5 miles that we have to travel there from 841 Fair Street and the 5 miles that we have to travel back from 841 Fair Street are considered deadhead miles or non-reimbursable miles by state transportation. So when we looked at it, and again, both the task force and conversations that I had with other transportation managers and commissioners of planning, Dutchess did something similar. In an analysis of their routes, they took their park system, their system, similar to what we're doing with our park system, and so what we're going to do with for 2 of the 4 routes, because you can't do it with every route, but for 2 of the 4 public routes, we're going to start right at 841 Fair Street at the Transportation Garage. We're going to make a right, and we're going to come up Fair Street, and we've got stops, which we advertise as we go up Fair Street toward the county building. And then we're going to make a left. And we're going to go the other way around, go past the park and ride, so we can pick people up there, or come in the other way to the Hannaford Plaza. And then they'll start at the Hannaford Plaza from there and continue their regular routes. One will give us an additional approximately $50 in reimbursements through the end of this year for 1 quarter, and the other will give us $1,200. So approximately we're picking up $2,000 in state reimbursement simply by changing the route, advertising it, and picking people up earlier rather than waiting to get to the Hannaford Avenue or the Putnam Plaza. And basically.
But any other deadhead miles were eliminated?
One of the things that I am on a commission for, because they're the trolley route, I got a message from the village mayor today, and if we could start to park the trolleys in Cold Spring and only bring them back for maintenance, that's 35 miles, because you're talking about going to Cold Spring. So we can save considerable, not only, and I want you to keep in mind with that, you're also saving money on maintenance, And fuel, when you have a vehicle like the trolley that only gets, 8 miles to the gallon, and you're doing, 40 miles 3 times on a weekend, you're saving some considerable money in the long term. So that's to come. And I pulled that route because we were also going to have a public hearing, but just FYI for the legislature to have part of the public hearing. I pulled the trolley route and that because what we're doing right now is I'm talking to the Commissioner of Planning in Dutchess County, and we're working with the Commissioner of Planning in Dutchess County to bring the trolley into Dutchess. We're going to get 6 miles worth of Dutchess County revenue reimbursement and bring it up to Mount Beacon, which is going to be, I know you were excited about that. So we're not quite ready until the 2 counties have ironed all that out. And Dutchess is very excited about supporting us. They're going to bring their loop down to meet at the place as well. So hopefully that'll be part of the plan. Anyway, so this is part 3. And basically what this does is it shows that we're not going to Hannaford directly. We're starting right out of the highway garage, and we're going to go in and around, come across 52 in front of the courthouse, and then go into Putnam Plaza that way, rather than what we were doing. And then these are all in the legislative office as well, so I didn't bring copies for everybody, but nobody has come by to see them over in the planning department. I don't know if anybody has come by to see them, and I haven't gotten a single letter about it. I'm feeling a little lonely. So, but anyway, and part 5 is the same thing. This is our planning department, and instead of coming this way and going right to Hannaford, we're going to make a left, go all the way around, and then come again this way into Putnam Plaza. It doesn't displace anybody. It probably gives people more, and especially earlier in the morning. If you take a look at the schedule, we're starting a little bit earlier in moving people around. So with that, I'll
I want to ask a question.
Sure.
The bus garage, the first stop is where?
Noel Preston Longfellow Drive.
Where was it originally?
There was never a first stop. It just went straight down to Putnam Plaza.
So how much is it going to cost to pick up all those other?
It wasn't. We used to start at Putnam Plaza, and we used to do all this anyway. I'm just taking it and doing it in reverse.
Vinny, is there any bus that goes to Giggles, gun store, and the alcohol store?
Should we have a giggle stop? Is the question.
Okay, any questions from the legislators?
I have one question.
Roger.
On the truck trolleys, Vinny, are they parked in a secure facility over there in Cold Spring? Is that the plan, or?
It's where they keep the Cold Spring police cars and their highway equipment, and it's a locked facility.
That sounds pretty good. Thanks.
Any other ones? Carl, then Sam?
No, just, great job. There's a lot of waste there. When you really look at it, it makes a lot of sense to trim it, especially when it doesn't affect anyone, except the county dollars.
Thank you.
So at budget time, there'll be no cuts on the routes as there were last year, right now? This is it, right here. That's the savings.
It's just a modification to increase revenue.
Excellent, excellent.
And we're headed toward, my God, I lost count, but I think that we're, the veterans, by the way, I see Carl here, the veterans van is being utilized more and more every week. We actually had 3 calls for the same hour last week. So it's all moving along. No, there's going to be, there'll be some modifications after we get through the RFP process,
right.
When we take a look at some of it. But with those modifications is going to come the enhancement of the countywide paratransit, and also some additional shuttle services for commuters, Putnam Valley Shuttle, some of the others that we had recommended. We just engaged in the contract with the consultant for transportation, Mr. Jack Riley. We're going to start working with him. He's going to be coming to our Transportation Task Force meeting next week. Once we start to talk to him, I will continue to give the legislature regular updates on what's happening.
Thank you, Vinny.
Barbara?
Thanks, Vinny. I think that's a great move forward, and I'm sure you're going to come up with other ways to save the county some money. The trolley staying in Cold Spring, I think, is a fantastic idea. We've always wondered why trolley has to come all the way from here and all the way over there and then start the process. And another thing, the last meeting I was at the Putnam Valley Town Board meeting, I did tell them that we were going to put a survey out to decide if we really needed shuttle service from Putnam Valley to the train stations. So I'd really like to work with you on that soon.
Absolutely. And one thing that I didn't say is the other reason why I did pull back the trolley schedule was actually the main reason. Since legislator Scucciamara did make mention about the trolley, there was a real issue with the route and with us cutting the route to the southern end of Phillipstown to the Garrison area. So what we're doing after I was completely reined in by the legislator from District 1,
Don't forget Garrison.
we're going to put Garrison back on the plan, only maybe a couple of times a day rather than at every interval, and so we're working on that right now.
That would suffice. Thank you.
Any other legislators?
I would just like to commend Vinnie for doing an outstanding job to serve our residents of Putnam County well and through making it efficient and effective. That you've done an outstanding job.
Thank you.
Okay, before we go to public comment on this, I'd just like to say that from where we came from last year, I think the administration and the legislature deserves a lot of credit for letting government work its course, because we had different ideas and we all inherited this situation. And I think the county executive's office and I think the legislature, I think we've worked well and we served the people, and we should be proud of ourselves for that. And with that, I will entertain any public comment on this. Mr. Carl Rody.
I'd just like to mention something, because Vinnie brought it up about the veterans bus and or van, whatever you want to call it. I have veterans call my office now that we've moved it over to this side from where it was prior to this home from the aging. I actually have veterans crying that they're so happy that they can have a bus and get picked up. And when I tell them, just call them up and they're going to come and get you, they say, really? And they don't really believe it, and it's virtually hassle-free. I give the guys a number, they call up, and it's scheduled, and they're absolutely amazing. We are working out some kinks that we have with names and addresses. Vinnie, I am getting some more names and addresses within the next 2 weeks from, we found out we're eligible to get addresses from the VA of all recently discharged veterans and all service members who received veterans compensation. We are allowed to have those names and addresses, so we'll be able to build our database with more veterans from the communities. Right now, we only have identified about 3,000, but the guys are overwhelmed. So I thank the legislature, the county executive, and Vinnie for allowing our veterans to be treated with dignity when they travel back and forth to the hospitals. Thank you.
Thank you, Carl, very much.
Can I just add something?
You may.
Because the Office of Veterans Affairs, the county clerk's office, and Transportation, of course, are all working really to do what we can to give back to those who gave us a lot. And it really is a priority. They know when a call comes in at dispatch that the veterans are the priority for us. Last week we had an issue, and I may come to you, and I think we've kind of figured out how to do it, but I may come to you during the budget. Sometimes that veterans van is big, and I don't need to drive that veterans van to give a veteran, to take an appointment to bring a veteran down to 23rd and First Avenue and the facility down there. I have a county car I could do that with over there, and so it's also a matter of right-sizing a vehicle. And what we saw last week was that vehicle was much better used rather than driving a veteran to Castle Point with that vehicle. To use that vehicle in what was a great honor, and that was at a funeral for a veteran who had passed. And so we kind of changed things around, even though it hadn't been scheduled as it was. But Carl is basically the boss. The Office of Veterans Affairs, it's their vehicle. What they want becomes the priority for us. And we're going to have to look at, for our entire fleet, and this is just kind of, you'll hear me talk more about this, we're going to have to look at right-sizing vehicles. So to not use a vehicle that is 8 miles to the gallon when we could use something that's 30 miles to the gallon. It's easier to maintain, that's easier to get around. So to right-size the vehicle for the intended purpose is very important. and to continue, of course, to support the veterans as we are. Thank you.
Thank you, Vinnie, very much. Any more public comment? Okay, I'd like to have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
To take